Hello, my name is Arlene Schiffer. Today, as promised, I am going to redo a video on how to make the cannabis leaf. They're pretty simple. There's a lot of different tutorials on up here to cover these, but I think mine's a little bit different. I call them the dancing cannabis leaf because they look kind of like they're dancing after I'm done with them. All of them come out differently. Depending on the gauge wire that you use, they'll come out different sizes. You can use different beads. You don't have to use a bead. You can just swirl them in the middle. But I like to use beads. People prefer that. These are actually pipe scrapers. They aren't used for any type of, you don't heat them up or anything, you just clean with them. Got those. I also put them on necklaces. I designed my own little necklaces to make them different than anybody else's. And they're a pretty good sell, you know. So that's what I'm going to show you how to make, hopefully. I'm not the best at video recording, so you'll have to be patient and do understand I'm probably the worst YouTuber. So what you'll need, we're going to use a I don't want it too big, so I'm going to use a 26 gauge. This is dead soft. I normally will use a half hard so that you have a good sturdy leaf, but I'm going to use the dead soft so that I can show you easier how to do these. When it's half hard, you really need to have some patience and be careful because it's a tight weave when you're going around the wires. So, but we're going to use dead soft 26 gauge. I'll use 7. These are, I just cut them up one day. They're for a larger leaf, these are a 24 gauge. I mean, not 24 gauge, but a 16 gauge. You can use 14, 16, 18, 20 gauge, as long as they're a good sturdy wire. You can use it as a tool to wrap around, and I'll grab about 7 of them. And again, depending on the size leaf you want, use the different size gauges. I have again, I have 18 gauges cut, I have these cut, and down to 20 gauge. You also want to use for your base wire the one that's actually the dancing part. Let's get one I can grab, if I can see. This part, you want the tail. Again, a lot of people bring it up and they'll bind it at the bottom down here and actually swirl one of them up here. I never liked that, and I never liked hanging the leaf upside down. That always drove me crazy too. I don't know about you, but that's my little pet peeve about it. No big deal. And so far I've survived it. Let me get my wire out. For tools, of course, round nose. Only if I'm going to swirl something, but sometimes when it comes to the little legs, the stem part, I want to use it because it's got the curve on it, so I get a nice curve. I'm not too good at keeping things neat and swirled. If you want to flatten out each individual section in between the sections, you can use one of these. You can use a flat nose and help squeeze them a little bit, straighten them out. But that's after you do them a little bit, and you'll know how to handle them better. Cutters, of course, and sometimes I squish them together, and I'll need my nylons for that. You want to hammer the tails. You can use an anvil if you want to. This is a small one for portable use. I screw it right down to my toolbox when I use it. That way it's not bouncing all over the place. Otherwise they're kind of light. The hammer hits it and it bounces. I'm not going to be using this one. I don't have a place to mount it. What I'm going to use is this 2-ton heavy thing my husband made me. Sucker's heavy. And he's got to clean it up for me. And of course a hammer. Bam bam. Everybody likes to bang on things, especially me. Okay, let's get going. I work off the spool. I don't have a measurement for the amount of wrapping wire that I use, but I'm gonna say no more than 2 feet, maybe more, maybe less. That's a guesstimate. So we'll actually just gonna stay working off the spool. I have my spool set up a little bit, not differently. I'm sure a lot of people do this. So just leave it out, hold it down. I need my base wire, which I want it to be a 21 gauge for easy bending, but I have it. You only need about 1 inch of this. Not much. This is 18. Okay. Feels kind of thin for a 21. It might be 22. I'm going to go about 2 inches actually. I also want to file. You want to file the little ends, but I do that after I hammer it, because once it's so thin, once I hammer it to flatten it out, it will sharpen up again a little bit. So I'll wait until I'm done and file it once. But we have the file. We've got our wire. Are you ready? Let's see if we can stay on camera this time. Leave a little tail so that you got something to grab onto. And you're going to wrap around 3 times, keeping them as close together as you can. And put one of your wires in. One of the actually I want to use a long one for the bottom. Holding the tail so it doesn't swirl around. You want to wrap around both. Wrap around both wires. Come back around from the back. And go in between. No, before you do that, go back around. Add another wire. And go around those twice. Go around the two wires you just added. You can bend the bottom wire out of the way so that you're going to wrap around all the time. Go back up to the top from the back side. Come back through the 2 top wires, the thick wires. Nice and tight. Bring back down to the base wire. Your actual part of the leaf. Wrap around that once. Go back up to the back. Come through, wrapping around the 2 wires. You have your stem wire, and then the first base wire, the tool, and the second one go in between the 2 tool wires. Again, copying the first pattern up around the back, around again. Now go back in between these two, back up to the top, add a wire. So now you're going to make a bigger leaf. You can make the leaves as long as you want to. Go in between the two. You're always going to do like a two-step. Hopefully this camera focuses. It's not a good camera. Yeah, it kind of sucks. Squish them together. Put in another wire. Depending on how high above each point you want, I usually put 2 wires, stepping it up 2 at a time. I don't know if you can see that. This is something else I use these for. I'll show you in a minute. Let's finish this. Add another wire. This is a funky looking one. I must have hammered it. Go around them both. In between. So it's always 2. You bring your wire back up to the back. And go around in between your top wire and the second wire. And follow the pattern down. Another thing you always want to make sure of is when you bring your wires to the back, hold them with your fingers, pinch them, so that they're always flat to the tool base wires, and you won't have lumps or wires that look like they're not in place. It won't be uniformed. Keeping this together the best you can. It's going to separate. It's going to be harder and harder to keep them together, especially when you're using a half hard. Okay, now we start again. I cannot see. Wrap around the leaf wire, part of the leaf, once. Repeat all of these steps. Making sure you grab 2 of the base wires at a time, 12 wires. Now that it's even, flush with each other, I add another wire. Come back around. I'm going to add another one. I'm going to use a short one because we're at the top, and I'm not going to need a lot of wire for that. So these short ones I don't really use for much. I use for this. nice and tight, front and back. That's the back. The camera doesn't focus. It's really horrible. And then work it back down. My wires, my tool wires, I've been using them for years, so they are really bent and deformed, and I struggle making these days. I need to make new wires. You see how when I lay the wire down, I hold it in place before I bring it in between the other wire, in between the wires? Lunchtime. Here's our 3 outside wires. The next one is the, our 3 outside leaves. The next one is the tallest one. And you can see I've squished them together the best that I can. And yeah, we go back up. Let's squinch them together now. Oops. Okay, I am at the top. Now on the fourth point of the leaf, I usually do something a little different. Gonna add the wire. Actually, I need this. Add another tool base wire. And what I'll do on this last one, fourth one, I do the 2 wires, then I wrap around just the 1 wire again, and then I will wrap around. It makes it go in a different direction. So, and that makes it for a pretty good sturdy, when you want to put a bail or a jump ring on it, it makes it pretty sturdy. So there's actually 3, I'm not sure this camera's going to pick it up, 3 wraps at the top on the 4th. We have 1, 2, 3, and 4. On the 4th one, you got the 3 loops on the top wire. And then you come back down. And once you start to come back down, that top wire can actually be the tool wire. You can take it off because it's going to flop around on you. And you might make a mistake by wrapping it again. These guys got to straighten out. Oopsie. Oh, I went too far with that. No. What happened there? Always wrap around this one with its a single wrap. You can also, if you want to, instead of the single wrap, put little like 1mm or 2mm beads in there if it'll fit over the wire. Right now, I want to take this out, the top one. It's gonna be in the way, and we don't need it. Now we just do 3 down, bring it back down. I think the camera's in the wrong place. I may have to do this again. I don't mind, I go through these. I add them to different things. People like them on their wallet too, keychains and stuff. Pretty neat. Think of it as a charm, like any other charm. You can do what those charms do. Hang a dangle. I have a bad reflection, so it's hard for me to see this. Each time you finish one of the leaves, go right ahead and take out the top wire that you're not going to use anymore. This way you don't end up wrapping it twice. Yeah, it was that wanky one. That one and this one. Well, see, I made the mistake there. I went up the extra one. I am going to leave it. This is too tight and too tall. One of the longer ones, I'm just going to leave it. It won't be that noticeable. 2 minutes. Sorry about that. I had to turn this other light on, and now I know it's a little bright here for you, but now I can see what I'm doing, and I'll be able to show you a lot easier towards the end, of course. My mistake on this one was I didn't remove the right bar, and I just did it again, didn't I? I only removed one bar, and I should have removed 2. If you remember, I add 2 each time. So this one's got to go, because I just wrapped around it. Made the mistake I'm trying to prevent you from making. If you do work from the spool, watch out, it kinks. You want to make sure it doesn't. Always wrap around your tail. And this is our last one, so I'm removing these because I'm going to make a mistake again. I did it twice. Oh, this is another flat one. Boop, 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 boop. And the last one, I don't really skip. I bring them up. I'll show you. Wrap it. And then actually I didn't do that, did I? No, I didn't. I'll just do it regular. And that's our last one. Go around the base, the tail, 3 times. Set it free. Cut the wire. Squish it together the best you can while it's still on the wire. These last 2, go ahead and remove them. Might be a little difficult, so give them a little twist and pull at the same time. Like when you're taking a ring off your finger, it's a little tight. There you go. Alright. Squish. And go ahead and straighten them out if you want to. Get it as centered as you want. Squish again. And what I do is I'm going to bring these little tails up. This way, this stays put. Just squished it all together. I don't want to have to squish it again. Okay, so it's going to look a little like this. A little weird. It'll look like a tree. I think there's even a tutorial out for trees. This part is not difficult. But your fingers are going to go work it around the best that you can. If you can't, then you do what you can. You don't want to squish. Don't squish. Just rest it in there. And if it's not going to work for you, like it doesn't want to work for me, improvise. It's about as round as it's going to get. And there is a front and a back. The front, this is not. You see how you have some long weaves versus short weaves. That'll tell you it's the back. This, however, is the front. Everything's uniformed. What crap. Sorry about that. Didn't mean to curse, sort of. Alright, and we're going to add a bead to this. And I never got one out. One moment. Okay, I decided on a moonstone. It's about the right size. It's a 3.5, 4 millimeter. This is a 6 millimeter. It's a little big. I think actually it looks pretty good. I don't think I've ever used one this size, so it was a first for everything. What I normally will do, take my wires, put the bead on. This is why you want a little bit of a tail going on. And just slip it on in there. Hold it down to the back. Close this. And now wrap it around both of them a couple of times. You got a little collar and the bead is in there. Now we can cut these. If it's going to be used as a charm for keychain or even a poker or something like that, don't have to worry too much about your wire ends. You want to tuck them and hide them so they don't get caught and everything goes haywire on your client. But as far as appeal, they're gonna be hidden by whatever you're putting them on. But you still do want to tuck them so that they're not going to catch. And I put it on the wrong side. That's just swell. Good job. Yep, I'll be making another one. I'm going to attach the bead a different way, I guess. You don't need to see that. Okay, I have to move the bead. I put it on backwards, on the wrong side. So I wanted to show you, I literally just cut the wire. And I wanted you to be able to see that. I'm going to tuck these in because I'm going to use a different wire for the bead. And because of that, I ended up with an extra end. Okay, that means this didn't attach. Okay. Can I really take that off? That's nice. Alright, so the remaining wire I'm going to wrap a few times to give it a bit of a collar. Also keeps it stable and neat looking. Make sure I'm on the right side. This is really cool. I'm going to take a different piece of wire. I'll just cut a little piece off. I probably should use a thinner gauge, but it's not going to make much difference. Put the wire through my bead. Make sure I'm on the correct side and just plop the bead in there, and now I'm just going to slide it in between. Nice and tight and as even as possible. Yeah, I don't like the bigger bead. But this is as easy as twist your wires. Not too tight, you don't want them to break, but you want enough to be able to cut it and then tuck it in to this part here. And it won't grab onto anything. It'll be literally tucked away and secure. I should probably just do that all the time. Mm-hmm. It's in. You don't see it in the front. But I'll figure out how to do the camera. And it's good in the back. I'm going to get rid of that one tail that we see over there. If you wanted to spread your leaves apart, I usually use my flat notes, and I'll just go in between the middle, kind of twist it each way. Go in, tweak them a little bit, squish them together if you want to. It's really up to you how you want your leaf to look. Everybody's going, oh, well, they look like this, they look like that. I don't care. I see a bunch of different ones. I grew a bunch of different ones. They don't all look the same. I don't know what you think, but I think it's pretty good. Of course, you see the difference in the sizes where I messed up, but came out pretty good. Let's hammer this. Now before I hammer, I want them to dance. And that's got some goofiness to it. So it's gonna go away. Oops, size change. Alright, give it a nice swoop this way. Nice swoop. We'll just, like all the rest of them. I can do a big one and bring it up. However you want to do it. It really is your call. This might be just a bit too long. Looks like it's getting away from you. So I'm going to do something a bit different. Pretty whimsical. Oopsie daisy, sorry. Let's see if you can see this a little easier on the darker. It's pretty. And see, even with the mistakes, it's really kind of cute. I don't have a bead under there, do I? It's hammer time! Yay! Everybody likes to do this. The bead's not going to get hurt, and nothing's going to get hurt. It's all pretty flat. So, and the reason I hammer, especially when it's a dead soft, is for one, to give it some strength. Two, pretty texture, nice, looks good. And of course I forgot to file. That's what it would look like. What do you think? And that's that. I hope this has helped better. Again, I am not a videographer. I write tutorials. I don't usually video record them, but I think it's time, really. It's a lot easier for people, and it's a little easier for me. So, with that said, love your feedback. I'm pretty short, so if I seem rude or snappy, that's just me. It's who I am. I don't mean anything by it. So put on your big person's pants and have fun with my videos. Any questions, please don't hesitate to ask. I'll answer them. I'm good like that for the most part, I think. And if you want, subscribe somewhere down here, a button or something. I don't know, but hit the subscribe button, and I'm going to start doing more tutorials, and the more I do, the better I'll get. How do you like that? Maybe somebody can give me some tips and stuff. I need a better camera, but in the meantime, let's play. Thanks again for watching. Bye-bye.